There was one thing I wanted to talk about before I forget. Well, there are a bunch of things, but I think it was yesterday or the day before that new Zack Bryan song came out, and he's got some negative things to say about ICE and ICE agents and police tactics and what they're doing. And the crazy thing is, like, MAGA, he's a huge country music star. But because of one song, now MAGA wants him to be canceled. And they want to destroy his career because he exercised his First Amendment rights and spoke out against the actions of this government and this administration. The actions of this government and this administration, which masked secret police with zero accountability, destroying communities, destroying families, deporting nonviolent, non-criminal immigrants, and using Gestapo-like military tactics in order to do that, flooding blue cities with National Guard troops and ICE agents who are fomenting violence. They're not suppressing violence, they're causing violence. And, like, I was thinking about that song and those lyrics and stuff while I was flying home to San Francisco yesterday, and just thinking about the mindset of these people, these MAGA authoritarian bootlickers, and how just completely anti-American and un-American they really are. They have absolutely no use anymore for anything that even resembles democratic rule. They are craving authoritarianism. They want to be ruled, not governed. And there's a huge difference between those two things, because to be governed in a constitutional republic, which is a form of democracy, you right-wing potatoes, it's the same thing. When you say we're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic, it's the same thing as saying, I don't have a truck, I have a Ford F-150. And that's how stupid you sound when you say that. And all of us judge you when you say that. And we think that you are dumb, uneducated, and racist. But that's aside. They want to be told what to do. They don't want to be bothered with participating in governing a nation, which is what this country was founded on. As long as you were a white man who owned property. You know, all of these great ideals that this country was founded on, slavery, slaughtering Native Americans by the tens of millions, stealing their land, not letting women vote or participate in government. But, those other ideals of participatory government and democratic rule in a constitutional republic, the MAGA chuds, it's just, they think that this government is going to take away all the rights from people who they disagree with politically. And these dipshit mouth breathers, the MAGA chuds, think that that same government is not going to eventually get around to taking away their rights too. That's how stupid they are. They think that this government is going to take away guns from everybody on the left, but isn't going to take their guns because they're on the right side. I mean, I'm a product of rural public education in the United States. The schools that my brother and I went to, middle school and high school, were objectively terrible. They didn't teach us anything, really, except for our science teacher, Mr. Donaldson. He was awesome. These people are functionally the stupidest, most gullible, easily manipulated segment of our population that this country has ever been saddled with. They crave authoritarianism because right-wing media has been telling them for 25 or 30 years that people on the left are evil and they're enemies. They have no interest in coexisting with us. They want us dead. They want us dead. They want the government to kill us. They want permission from Donald Trump to go door to door and kill us. And they think that that would make America amazing. And it's like, if they got everything that they wanted, Donald Trump's already cut $1.5 trillion from their own healthcare. They're going to lose all their rural hospitals. He's closed the Department of Education. They're going to lose all of their IEP programs, all of their before school programs, after school programs. Republicans hate free breakfast and free lunch at schools. That's not just going to happen in blue cities and blue states. I mean, Trump wants to do away with the EPA, as does Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch, because his mom was the commissioner of the EPA under Ronald Reagan, and she had to resign in order to avoid being charged with a bunch of crimes that she committed while she was the commissioner of the EPA. So Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch wants revenge against the EPA for his mommy. So, and it's like, what's West Virginia going to look like with no EPA anymore, with no environmental protections whatsoever? And West Virginia voted for Trump by, I don't know, 60 points, 70 points. They voted for that. And they're just so fucking dumb and gullible. You know, I mean, they're still convinced that elementary school teachers in blue states are performing gender-altering surgical operations on school children during the school day, such that you drop off your 8-year-old son, and at the end of that day, you pick up your 8-year-old daughter, as though surgically altering someone's genitalia is the same thing as getting a flu shot. And they think teachers have litter boxes in their classrooms for their students who identify as furries. The one thing that I've never been able to understand about that, it's like, even if that were true, that there were school students who identified as furries, are they going to go to the bathroom using a litter box at the front of the classroom in front of all of their classmates? They've never been able to explain that one to me. They just get outraged by litter boxes in classrooms. You know, and now it's like, we're also going to have a society with no vaccinations and no federal healthcare structure. You know, RFK Jr. wants to destroy the CDC, the National Institutes of Health, and make sure that no child under the age of 10 is ever vaccinated for anything ever again. And they think that as long as the Bible is being taught in classrooms, all of these other things, they'll just kind of work themselves out, and we'll live in some kind of Jesus utopia with, you know, dictator Donald Trump at the head of the table. And they think that would be great. They think all of that would be just amazing. They think that would be real America, you know, but as long as we get rid of Zack Bryan first. Just tens of millions of fucking half-smart rubes, man. And every single one of them thinks that they're the smartest person in the room at all times, when they're legitimately dumber than a sack of hair. They don't give a shit about the Constitution. They don't give a shit about the Bill of Rights. They don't give a shit about being a constitutional republic or anything that even resembles being democratically governed. They want to be ruled. They want to be ruled over by Donald Trump, of all fucking people. While he still sells them shiny gold tennis shoes and NFTs. This period of time in our country's history is going to be studied for decades. And I'm convinced that 5 years from now, you won't be able to find a single person in this country who will admit to ever having supported this, which is why I think we should be able to permanently mark them